Hello, my pretties. It is Tuesday, January 7th. Happy belated Pete's favorite day to him in the United States and Canada. And this is a show called What Chaos, presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code What Chaos. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks, run your game, will ya? My name is DJ Bean. To my left is Pete Blackburn. And just over there across the room is Sean DePaz. Hi, Sean.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Lord forgive me. You missed a good time last night.
You guys missed a good time last night.
We made up for it. We watched the hockey after.
We did. We missed the live showing, the live airing of the Canadiens Canucks game, which was incredible. We're going to talk a lot of Canadians on the show, but me and Deej,
yeah.
Well, we had a legendary dinner with Bob Stauffer and Gene Principe last night. It was 10 out of 10.
Before anybody gives them shit, they did invite me. I just couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Sean had better things to do than go to dinner with Bob and Gene. Crazy.
It wasn't better. It was just something I had to do.
It was, I'm not telling tales out of school. It was just some folks having a nice dinner in the North End. You haven't lived till you've seen Gene Principe speaking Italian to servers in the North End.
Gene's eyes lighting up at the moment that he got to speak Italian, and then he tried to speak Italian to like a bus woman or like one of just like the waitresses or something.
I think it was just another waitress who was refilling water,
and she was like Colombian and not Italian. She was like, "I don't speak Italian." He was like,
"That's all right." Gene was on it.
Gene was like, "You don't know ball."
Switch up language. Still was able to communicate. But yeah, that man heard an accent and was like, "Oh yeah, buddy, let's do it."
Yeah, where's like little Germany? Then I'll be in my bag.
Yeah, are you
hit 250-day streak yesterday?
You're still going with it?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's yes.
I didn't know what
German.
you said back that when you just answered. I'm assuming that was in German.
Yes, it's yes for German.
Oh.
And it's ja im Deutsch. Yes in German, which doesn't make any sense because it's already in German. But
well, we had a fantastic time, and we then checked our phones, and we had texts from one Sean DePaz saying, "This hockey is good tonight." I didn't realize that you watched the Canadiens and the Canucks. I thought you were just skipping the Sabres because you were off them, which after I thought about it, I was like, that doesn't make sense because you are always with them at their lowest because they're always at their lowest.
Yes, I will hate watch the Buffalo Sabres. Although last night, apparently, wouldn't have been a hate watch. They rocked. Wouldn't know because it was on NHL Network.
Fuck NHL Network. Appreciate you for putting us up on game on just saying, hey, check out that Canadiens Canucks game.
Yeah, baby. I watched it on accident because I threw on ESPN. I was like, I'll watch some Sabres hockey. And it wasn't there. And I was like, oh yeah, NHL Network, which I knew because it was on Slate Grade. And so there's only one game to watch, and I'm very happy I did because I am now a Montreal Canadiens fan.
Who told the folks yesterday, Canadians are hot. They're officially there. Who told the folks forever ago? Mm-hmm. You know what? Before we even get to what's on today's show, can you play us a clip of our on today's show from December 18th?
Canadians heating up, question mark? They had a big win last night. The Canadians back on track, baby.
And yeah, that might have been a bit in that every time a team played the Sabres, I just put in their blank heating up. But that was the start. You pointed this out yesterday. That was the start of this 8 of 10 run that they're on. And the Canadians right now, we are famously not points percentage guys. We are just, who cares? Are you in there by points right now? And the Canadians are in playoff position by points.
Famously, nobody on this podcast has ever yelled at anybody for going by points instead of points percentage.
Sorry for knowing ball.
Only when it fits our narrative. Only when it fits the narrative that we want to push. The Canadians are good. They're a playoff team.
All three of us, massive Canadiens fans.
Honestly, It's like sacrilege. We talked about this last night with Gene and Bob. Gene was like, "Hey, what teams do you care about other than the Bruins?" And I was like, "I don't really care about teams. I more root for players and more root for like storylines." And I was like, as a kid, I was a big anti-Canadiens guy because it's kind of in my Bruins blood. But I don't know, like the Canadiens are very fun. That building
That
rules.
And I mean, you were on it like a week or two ago about how awesome watching, like, not necessarily good, but how electric of a viewing experience the Vancouver Canucks are.
Yes.
And they played their part last night as well.
Yeah.
JT Miller, 1,000,000 points. Pete, why don't you tell the folks on the show today?
I would love to do that. Today on the show, we got the Montreal Canadiens. That's it. We're just going to talk a lot of Canadiens.
Habs.
No. We also have Frank Vatrano on the show. He's going to join a little bit later. We're going to talk about his new contract. We're going to talk about, you guessed it, Trevor Zegras and what he's like as a teammate. A lot of things going on with the Ducks. We're going to talk about the commercial. You know the commercial that we're talking about. Connor McDavid versus Austin Matthews in a new, brand spanking new edition of the Big Mac Challenge. I don't know if that's a real thing, but they're in a new commercial together. We'll talk about it. We'll look at it. We'll look at some of the previous iterations, see which one wins. And finally, look who's in town. You thought you'd get out of this episode without some Oilers talk? You thought wrong. The Oilers are in town to face the Bruins. We're going to the game tonight. Hell yeah, brother.
Bruins are hot right
No, they're not.
They're the worst right now. And you know what sucks about that? The last 2 seasons in the history of this show, Bruins and Oilers games have been classics.
The best.
They've been, I mean, the most recent one this season kind of stunk, but still, like, Oilers came back, won in overtime. That's cool. There was drama. There was discourse about Jeremy Swayman. But if you remember last year, there was the crazy game that the Bruins kept going up and the Oilers kept coming back in Edmonton, and Charlie McAvoy scored in overtime. 6-5 Bruins win. Absolutely electric game. And assholes that we were like, okay, new Stanley Cup, please. Give us those 2 teams.
Yeah, and we had the discussion the following show. We were like, who has a better chance to make the Stanley Cup final, the Bruins or the Oilers? And I want to say that we decided on the Bruins.
I think we all said the Bruins.
Because the East was weaker.
Yeah.
I think that was the reason that we ended up on the Bruins. Lo and behold, Bruins flame out, and the Oilers make the Stanley Cup final.
And then there was the game late last season that we all attended. That was the 2-1 game, I want to say. The Bruins were winning and were about to seal it until Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had a chase down on Danton Heinen. Earlier in that game was my favorite moment in hockey history. Evan Bouchard putting Jake DeBrusk, our dear friend, Jake DeBrusk's face in the crease, and Sean yelling, "Splash around!" People being like, what's these 2 people's deal?
Hell yeah, brother.
It was fantastic. And then who? Draisaitl in overtime, Sean, right?
Sounds about right. All I remember is that the Bruins collapsed in the Ford F-150 Final 5.
Oh yeah, you were having a nice time that game.
I very much enjoyed it.
We were eating waffles, and you were just
yeah.
You were like, I don't have the proof, but I have the sense that none of these people know puck.
Well, no, because there was proof because a guy started trying to do the wave when the Bruins were up 2-1 at the end of the game. Like it was like pivotal game time, and he was just like turning his back trying to get the wave going. I'm like, what is this guy doing? That was like
unacceptable behavior.
Yeah, that was peak not knowing puck.
Yes, very horrible behavior. We will be joined by Arpon Basu, my dear, dear, dear old friend from the Athletic.
Too tall.
You think he's tall?
He's very tall.
He is. I don't think in these ways, but
yeah, I do. I kind of have to.
Yeah, he's a tall, handsome man. He's the
good
best.
at his job.
He's we're going to be joined by him in a few minutes, but let's actually give the Canadiens their flowers because they have been on a run the last 10 games that has legitimately seen them be a top 5 team in the NHL. I want to say they were 29th in the NHL by points percentage in their first 30 games of the season. .417 clip. Since then, they've won 8 of 10 in 10 games, which famously is an .800 winning percentage. And that has been 4th in the NHL. It's gotten them to a point where they are actually in the discussion to be a wild card team. What's great about that is that this wild card situation in the East once again, who'd have guessed it, is extremely packed. Very few points separate.
Packed derogatory.
But if a team would like to show up and behave,
Exactly.
it will make the playoffs. And right now, that could be your Montreal Canadiens, who are they're up in every category. Lane Hutson is an absolute stud.
Dog.
They're getting the goaltending. I don't know if this is going to be a sustainable thing for the whole season. We can ask Arpon about that. But as I said, if a team wants to behave and make the playoffs, they get to in the East. So Canadians, dazzle us.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like really all we've been asking for as hockey fans for the past almost 2 full years at this point is just, can one team emerge in the Eastern Conference, one more team emerge in the Eastern Conference that fills out a playoff picture? Because last year, nobody wanted that spot. The Capitals ended up getting it, and it was a disaster. And it ruined an entire first-round playoff series. It took it off the board because the Caps just were totally out of their depths. We've been waiting for one team to show up. And like at certain points, it's looked like maybe it would be like the Red Wings. Maybe it would be the Sabres. Maybe it would be the Flyers. Maybe it would be the Senators. Now, like, I guess I'll throw the Penguins in there, even though I think everybody knows the Penguins have like dust for bones and they're probably not going to hang around too long this season. But like, if the Canadiens can be that team, even as a Bruins fan, I will fucking take that because they're fun. They're young. They actually have like a path. They have a trajectory that like this would be a first step towards. And I think you mentioned it, like they have a lot of really good young players, and Lane Hutson, especially last night in that game against Vancouver, he just fucking took over the game down the stretch. And I'm super surprised, even as like a very big Lane Hutson guy coming into the season. I kept pushing you.
Yeah.
It's like Lane Hutson is going to be awesome. He could win Calder this year. Even I'm surprised that he's been as good as he's been.
He's a rookie defenseman, and I know that it's becoming more common for rookie defensemen to like really kind of be given leash to do stuff. And one of the reasons, I was very, very cautious, overly cautious of Lane Hutson. And I was like, I don't know if they're going to play him enough. I don't know if he'll be able to just have the opportunity. But it's the Canadiens. Like, their goal this year was to get better and to grow. And part of that can be, hey, look, we have a good young defenseman. I did not think even close to it that he'd be doing what he's doing right now. He's an absolute stud. And I was talking to Sean before the show, like, watching them on the power play, I didn't know who I thought would be on their power play, but yeah, it's all the young awesome guys.
It's just a bunch of dudes.
It's just a bunch of dudes, and it was fantastic. Let's bring in our friend from The Athletic, Arpon Basu. Arpon, we have wanted you on this show for decades. Finally, here you are, my friend.
Sorry, guys, I can't hear you.
Fuck
What's
me.
going on?
That seems bad for business.
That's okay. We'll just talk until you hear us. Do you hear us now?
Hello. No. How good are you at?
I hear you guys.
Yeah. How is our sign language?
Do you know German? Would
Sean
that
knows
help?
German.
I don't know how much this is gonna. Sean, do you have any diagnosis here?
Saying we got audio on our end.
All right, we have your audio. Should we just have him leave and come back? Maybe. Anyway, let's comment on Arpon's looks until he can hear us.
Let's
All right.
objectify
Technical
him.
difficulties, fellas. I can't not hear a thing you're saying.
That's
great because then we can objectify him with no repercussions. Even though he looks great right now. So
should I tell him leave and jump back in?
yeah. Maybe try an audio input difference or something.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway.
Maybe. I think you can hear us now.
Oh, you can hear us.
got us.
Okay.
All right, great.
We got Arpon?
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, buddy. I mean, there have been points throughout this season where I've been like, man, got to have you on. Canadians looked cool last night or looked cool for this little bit, but by and large, the first 30 games of the season were not a particularly good time. What has it been over these last 10 that has made them so electric?
Buy-in, maturity. I mean, this is the second youngest team in the NHL, but they're learning that you can't shinny your way to wins at this level. Everyone's good. And if you beat a guy on a one-on-one, it usually doesn't lead to a whole lot. So you got to pick your spots when you do that. There's little like kind of maturity moments that this team is starting to understand. And really, I mean, you talk about the last 10. Yeah, the last 10 have been exceptional, but this team was last overall in the NHL on November 10th. Got spanked on Hockey Night in Canada, national stage in Toronto. Looked really bad doing it. They won a game in Buffalo on November 11th. Like, since that date, they're top 10 in points percentage, wins, goals. They're a top 10 team in the NHL for the better part of the last 2 months. So really, like, those numbers are great over the last 10, but this is a bigger sample than 10 games. Like, if you put the cutoff in, this team is not only top 10 in points percentage in the NHL, only Toronto and Washington have a better points percentage in the East than Montreal since November 11th.
When you look at that discrepancy, like where do you think personally like the truth lies? Is it closer to the beginning? Is it closer to the end? Like, how sustainable is this last little run?
I lose you again, guys?
You lose us? Hello?
Check.
Hello?
Darn.
Ole.
I think it's sustainable, Pete, and here's why. I'm just kidding. Check.
Hello. Oh, I hate this.
Maybe I'll do the maybe leave in.
Hello. All right, he jumped out. So that's tough.
Folks, this is going to be unbelievable on the replay when Sean loses 500 pounds working on this.
Hello, you got us?
Yeah, sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on there, but
No worries.
I don't know if you heard
I don't know if you
my
heard me,
rant.
but basically what I asked was the discrepancy is obviously pretty stark. Where do you think the truth lies for this team? Like, how sustainable is the success level?
Well, I don't know at what point I cut out with you guys, but just to reiterate, yes, the 10 games have been really good. This sort of run for Montreal runs back much longer than that. If you go back to November 11th, I looked at it today. Only Toronto and Washington have a better points percentage in the East than Montreal since November 11th. That's like 2 months of games. That's 25 games. So there have been some dips in that time. They haven't been perfect, obviously. They've gotten blown out a couple of times in that span. But these last 10 games are just like sort of an accentuated version of that 25 game sample for the Canadiens. Like, I don't think they're a top 10 team in the league or a top 3 team in the East, but their performance and their record over that span, that's where they're at. I think they're tied. I think they're 8th in points percentage in the NHL and 3rd in the East since November 11th. And 2 months is kind of a bigger sample than 10 games.
So do you believe in them as a playoff team?
That's difficult to say. I mean, the only reason I do is because the East is sort of playing down to them. You can't. It's hard to have a 4-9-2 start to the season and make the playoffs. It's pretty rare, and to be last in the NHL after 15 games and then make the playoffs is equally rare. So the only thing that's made this possible is the rest of the Eastern Conference, or at least the bottom half of the Eastern Conference, has made it possible. And so if that continues, then yeah, I mean, they could make the playoffs. I mean, they could. There are some sustainable elements to the maturity the Canadiens are showing in the way they play for the second youngest team in the league. And so it's, but I expect there to be some sort of, separation between sort of the real playoff teams and the aspiring ones like Montreal. And so they might fall short in the end, but all of this is just extremely valuable stuff for a rebuilding team that is as young as they are.
Are you surprised, though, with where they are? Like, I mean, the process has been kind of black and white where it was really bad and now it's been really good. But if someone were to tell you on January 7th that the Canadiens are a fringe playoff team, would you say, yeah, that seems about where they'd be at this point in the rebuild? Or do you look at it like some of us where it's just like, I'd probably have them a little bit worse just because they have so many young guys?
Well, yeah, I don't think, no. I wouldn't. If you had told me that at the beginning of the season, I would be pretty skeptical. Like, a lot would have to go right, and a lot has gone right. Listen, they've been like remarkably healthy this year after 3 years of like awful injury luck. But, you know, I mean, Laine got hurt in the preseason, so they didn't have him for the first, 30 odd games. And he's been a difference maker. He's instantly made their power play quite dangerous and a difference maker. And the Alex Carrier trade, which has really flown under the radar, but they traded a player in Justin Barron that really did not look like he had a future in Montreal and was not really a good fit to what they were doing, and acquired a player who was a perfect fit to exactly what they needed for a young defense core who's come in and totally stabilized that entire group. And so there are elements here where it makes sense why it's clicking for the Canadiens. But the biggest one is just the maturation process of sort of the young core, realizing some of the less fun, sexy things that you need to do at the NHL level to win. They're sort of learning that as they go here.
Yeah, I mean, especially like their fourth line has been one of their best lines of late. It's been unbelievable. I saw it's Emil Heineman, Jake Evans, Joel Armia outscoring opponents 11-3 over the last 10 games, that's bananas.
Last night they started the game against the JT Miller line and basically, bag punched them. I mean, honestly, like they spent that entire shift in the offensive zone. Caden Cooley nearly killed Jonathan Leckler-Matthew coming over the blue line.
Cooley had a great game last night. He was awesome.
That's one of the best games I've seen him play. And like, these are guys that I think, we've gotten the sense are going to emerge into being like maybe upper tier, maybe not superstar players, but really good star level players in the NHL. I mean, Gooley's a guy. I mean, I went to visit him in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, for crying out loud, when he was playing in junior, and like it just like everything about him screams Shea Weber clone, and we're starting to see some of that, and that hit is something he used to do in junior all the time. I watched him play in Red Deer. They were down 4-0 going to the third period. He came out for the third and murdered someone, much like he did last night, and gave his team a spark. So, there's all these like Kirby Dach starting to play better, Alex Newhook starting to play better. Like all these kind of key pieces to their rebuild have kind of found their game all at once.
Can you tell me what you've seen from Dach? Because obviously he's improved a little bit, but like we were looking at the numbers earlier today. Like a -23 in 40 games this season is pretty stunning, especially relative to the rest of the roster, which isn't that bad.
Yeah. It's, the first, that 10-game sample that you guys showed earlier is really applicable to Dach. The first 30 games for him were terrible, and he would be the first to tell you that. It's hard to miss a full year. It's hard to have like 2 ligaments torn in one knee and come back. Everyone knew it would take some time. Close to half a season, though, was a bit much, but credit to him. He's stuck to it, and he was in a pretty dark place in terms of how he felt about his own game, constantly answering questions about when are you going to start playing better? When are you going to be the guy that we saw 2 years ago? It's heavy in Montreal when there's expectations on you. And really, like, much of this rebuild is, unfortunately for him, kind of on his shoulders. Like, the Canadiens don't have a second-line center in the organization that could replace Dach if he doesn't work out. So a lot's riding on this guy, and he was wearing that for a good portion. But like you look at the skill set, he's 6'4", verging on 6'5". He's a big man. He's got incredible reach. His stick, when he's on it, is very effective at winning pucks back, just maintaining possessions in the offensive zone. And he's a crafty playmaker, but you need some semblance of confidence to do all those things, and he just didn't have any for 30 games. And now you're seeing more of the version. I mean, last night, it took the Canucks 53 minutes and 41 seconds to get a shot attempt against Kirby Dach at 5-on-5. So it was pretty good, Kirby Dach. And so let's see if he can maintain it. His sample, to me, is still small. I still need to see more from him over a longer period of time to be convinced that, okay, this is the version of Dach the Canadiens are going to have. But the last this road trip in particular, where they beat the last 4 Stanley Cup champions on their home ice, was a pretty good sign for him.
What are we dealing with Lane Hutson? Like, is this a top 10 defenseman in the NHL in a year, two? What do you think he's becoming? Because he's already obviously a sensational player to watch, but I'm sure that there's additions that he'll make.
Well, yeah, that's the main thing this season. Like, yes, he just took over the rookie scoring race last night with 3 points. He has an identical stat line to Adam Fox, who is basically his role model and the guy he wants to be like. He played against another guy he wants to be like in Quinn Hughes last night for the first time in his career. Was still pretty awestruck afterwards. His goal was banked in off Quinn Hughes' skate, which was pretty symbolic, I guess, in some ways. But my biggest takeaway with this guy is just how much he's already adapted in 40 games this season. At the beginning of the season, I'm sure you guys saw highlights, but like night after night, he was breaking guys' ankles. He was beating guys. He was head fakes, shoulder fakes, everything. Like his whole arsenal was on display almost every shift. And that's not even really that much of an exaggeration. And so when I talked about the maturity earlier, like he is exhibit A. Like he is quickly understanding that a lot of that stuff just led to oftentimes him being in a worse spot. Like he would just wind up beating a guy and skating himself into essentially a double team where he's like cornered against the boards and he can't do anything with it. So now he'll still beat guys, but it's not this series of dekes and moves and beating one guy after another just to wind up giving away the puck. Like he'll beat a guy, create that half second of space, and find a teammate quickly. And so his adaptability is really impressive to watch for such a young player. Like he is truly, and he won't mind me saying this because I've talked to him about it, but he is truly a hockey nerd. Like he obsesses over the game of hockey. That's all he really thinks about, talks about. He eats it, drinks it, breathes it. And so he studies it. And his coach, Martin St. Louis, is very similar. And I remember when he was at BU, I talked to Jay Pandolfo, and one thing he said, which is his coach, and one thing he said is like, Marty St. Louis is going to love coaching this kid. And you're seeing it. Like he is really, it's like a mini Marty basically. Like he thinks the game on a very high level. So what's his ceiling? I mean, Cole Caulfield was asked if he could enter the Quinn Hughes stratosphere last night, and he just kind of looked at the questioner like, I think you know the answer to that question was his answer. And the Canadiens, his teammates believe it. I believe it because one thing about Lane is like his defensive metrics are pretty poor. The eye test doesn't really match that, and I'm trying to figure out why exactly. But like last night on the Canucks' first goal, you know, Lane lost his man along the wall. That was, I think it was Höglander, sets up JT Miller, bang, back of the net. Lane's looking like a defensive liability, but more often than not, like he goes into puck battles with guys like 20, 30 pounds heavier than him, and he comes out with the puck more often than not. Like he has strategies to overcome his physical limitations, and he's used them his whole life, and now he's adapting those to the NHL. So I think his ceiling is sky high. Like honestly, like he's fun to watch, and he's going to be fun to watch for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, this year's rookie class is headlined by two guys whose games have translated way quicker than I thought they would, with Macklin Celebrini and Lane Hutson. Where would you rank them in terms of the Calder race right now?
Well, honestly, like if Montreal manages to squeak into a playoff spot, like that's going to help Lane's case a lot. You know, like that would help with voters. Voters would pay attention to that he's a prominent top pairing minutes guy on a playoff team as a rookie on defense. All those factors are going to help him. I personally think Celebrini's, you know, in pole position here. Like he's become appointment viewing, you know, as an East Coast guy. I'm staying up late to watch that guy. He's doing it with a lot less support around him, even though Montreal is hardly an elite team by any stretch. But there are, you know, NHL caliber player, more of them around Lane Hutson than's around Celebrini. And the things he's doing on a nightly basis is really something to watch. So, but I know that as a voter in the past, you know, last year I voted for Brock Faber. You know, like it was really like the Bedard Faber thing. Like to me, Faber doing what he did on the blue line on a team that was competitive, playing 24, 25 minutes a night, that carried a lot of weight with me personally as a voter. And Lane's basically doing that right now in a very different way. He's got a very different style of game. But I think that should carry a lot of weight, especially if Montreal at least stays in the playoff conversation deep into the season.
Arpon, you're the best. We'll have you back when Montreal clinches the President's Trophy, which should just be in a couple of months now.
Sometime at the end of February, I would think that by then, yeah.
Yes. Appreciate you, buddy. Talk to you
I
soon.
love the wardrobe. That's good, DJ.
We try to do stuff for every team.
He's got right now.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I'm an equal opportunity boy, although it's just usually Oilers stuff. But
you guys
whatever,
would for sure be on a television broadcast if you went to a game that way.
Yes. Oh yeah. So I don't know what to wear. Bruins are playing the Oilers tonight. I don't know what to wear.
That would be the most insufferable.
Should
choice.
I just wear a Canadiens shirt?
Just wear a Canadiens shirt.
You piss everybody off.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's the move. All right, Arpon. Appreciate you, buddy.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right. Be good. Arpon is the best, and the Canadiens are the best. Sean, you are a Canadiens fan now. That's your this is it?
Ole, ole.
But Sean was off camera, just going like this, at half of Arpon's points.
Lane Hutson, I was already Pete put me on to Lane Hutson last year at Hockey East. So I obviously knew who he was. And for reasons I'm not going to get into, can be defensive of young defensemen who are criticized to an extent that I think is unjust. But last night he rocked so fucking hard. So I was in on him. I was in on the Canadiens, and I'm a Canadiens fan now.
It's very cool that a lot of people are just going to have to go back and delete tweets that they sent in October and November.
Yeah, I like that we,
Hutson.
as a show, mainly Pete, obviously, but we as a show, I think are going to end up on the right side of history with Lane Hutson.
Oh, yeah. We were doing
Cole
a month
Hutson
in, but we were doing that with, you just mentioned people are going to have to delete tweets. I thought it was, or at least my thing going into the season was we'll see what he is. He's going to be good eventually, but I don't know if he's going to play that much. But people, while he was playing every game, people were tweeting
this kid sucks.
He sucks. He looks stupid out there. That's obviously not going to age well. What?
I don't know. Last night you could just see that he was doing things that I think a lot of young defensemen struggle with. Where he knew when to put himself into the offense and be aggressive. The last two goals they scored, his and the Doc one, were entirely products of his offensive awareness and him driving the offense. And I thought it was awesome to watch.
Laura, forgive me, he was better than Quinn Hughes.
I was literally just going to say Quinn Hughes isn't fully healthy. He's got that hand issue, but he was the best Quinn Hughes in a game that also featured Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, no, it was exactly what I was thinking. It was he is the kind of young defenseman that is awesome to watch. He's a reason. There's a reason why people love Quinn Hughes, and he is cut from that same cloth.
And
those guys are the best. Hughes, McCarr, Hutson. Those are the most fun guys to watch.
Game breakers.
They always have the puck on their stick, and they're always facilitating. And just it's a lot of the times when a forward has the puck on his stick, it's quick and everything happens quick. But when there's an offensive defenseman who is as creative and as good a facilitator as those guys are, you're waiting every time they have the puck, and you're like, something's about to happen. It's
it was so awesome to watch. And the whole Canadiens, that game last night rocked so hard.
Yes,
and it started from the puck drop until the game ended. It was just awesome. And I very much am. And it helps that Bruins fans hate the Canadiens. So I like them even that much more.
And we got through that whole conversation without saying Demidov once. That's that. So they've, and we barely talked about Uri. I think I made one mention of him. They've got obviously guys on the team now who are going to keep getting better, but they've also got reserves coming. So we've wanted, the Netters guys have talked about this. Everyone's rooting for the Canadiens to be good.
And speaking of German hockey, you don't even know what Reinbacher is going to be. He got hurt. So
I'm not going to be able to get through this next conversation without mentioning Bauer, because this is a conversation about Bauer presenting our podcast. Pretty good. Nothing beats the sound of fresh steel cutting through the ice. Now you can hear that every time after getting a fresh buzz with the Pro Sharp Bauer Advantage Skate Sharpener, perfect for all hockey players, families, or teams. This sharpener is fully automated and extremely easy to use, so you can get perfect edges anytime, anywhere, as long as you're plugged in to power. And with built-in goalie skate modes, even your tendy can stay sharp. That's right, folks. To learn more about the Pro Sharp Bauer Advantage Skate Sharpener, or to see where you can find it in stores, head to bauer.com/ProSharp.
Our next guest lives in California, where it's sunny. And then when he retires, he's going to go to Florida because he likes to evade taxes. And it's sunny there, too. So he's going to need to invest in some shady rays. because Shady Rays is the independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames, crystal clear optics, and they're perfect for all outdoor adventures. They also have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair that matches your style or even your team's favorite colors. So if there are orange ones, our guy Frank Vatrano is going to be in business.
There are orange ones.
Yeah.
Ooh. Look at Sean. Quick numbers crunch there.
I've gotten and lost orange ones.
That's huge for you.
That's a Shady Rays hat trick.
But guess what?
Contact appointment this Friday.
Oh yeah, Sean. All right.
So
Sean's
Shady
gonna be a
Rays.
contact, boys.
Well, you can get prescription Shady Rays.
It's just
What?
annoying.
It's. I'm trying to explain. Like I had
The process isn't annoying. I'm saying like
having prescription sunglasses is the worst, because then also you have to carry 2 pairs of glasses around. Like if I go inside, I have to take them off and put a different pair of glasses on. And there's no way to be a cool human being while carrying 2 pairs of glasses. It's impossible.
I think that's unless they're 2 pairs of Shady Rays.
True. If they're like you
2
go
different pairs
on the
of
back
Shady
of the
Rays.
head and on the front, like that's
2 pairs of
different.
Shady Rays is good because
Stay strapped.
half the time you only have 1 pair of Shady Rays, and then in like 2 to 3 business days you got 2 again.
That's right. What happened when you lost your pair of orange Shady Rays?
I said, folks, I've lost my pair of orange Shady Rays, and they said, well, we got just the policy for that. That's going to be the lost or broken replacement policy.
That's right.
And they hooked me up. That is the Shady Rays hat trick. You get the shades, you lose the shades, you get them.
You could say that their team had your back covered with personal and fast support.
All over my back.
Nice.
Translation lenses are crying in a corner. I have no interest in translation
I was
lenses.
gonna
not.
jokingly suggest transition.
The only
I
thing
mean,
lamer than carrying 2 pairs of glasses is carrying 1 pair of glasses that has transition lenses.
There is no less cool person in the world than like the 45 seconds that you spend transitioning from outdoor to indoor with
Can't see
transition
shit,
lenses.
and you look like a loser. Respectfully to anybody that has transition lenses.
So if you want transition lenses, go to, now, I don't know if they have Shady Rays transition lenses, but if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, you don't have to sweat it because they have the most insane protection policy in all of eyewear. Every pair backed by the lost or broken replacement policy, as exhibited by Exhibit A, Dave Bean. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code AC35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Over the weekend, Frank Vatrano of the Ducks signed a 3-year extension. 3 years, $18 million, and it's an innovative, kind of wonky extension based on the Shohei Ohtani deal with the Dodgers, in which he's going to have a $4.57 million cap hit because $9 million of this contract is going to be in deferred payments that are going to start at $900K a year starting in 2035, when he's not going to be living in California, and therefore won't get that income tax. So it's a innovative kind of, we talked about it in detail a bit on Monday, which is the Ducks were offering in the 4s. He wanted in the 5s. And Pat Verbeek, the Ducks GM, was like, hey, let's see if we can do an Ohtani thing. And they came together. As I said, you can get more details on yesterday's episode, but we had to have Frank on, friend of the show, to discuss this very, very clever deal and just stuff because he's our friend. Here's the conversation. Let's bring in friend of the show and noted tax hater, Frank Vatrano. Frank, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on the new deal.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on again.
You are the Shohei Ohtani of hockey. Do you like that? Is that good? Is that cool for you?
Kind of. I think, obviously his contract's a little bit, same contract, different money. He's also the best player in his sport. I wouldn't say I'm there. But no, it's cool. Guys were joking yesterday calling me Shohei. So, it's not a bad nickname.
Is tax evasion cool?
As long as you don't go to jail.
That's a good answer.
I was thinking about it because I saw people tweeting about it like, we should not be calling this contract innovative or celebrating it. They're like, tax evasion is a slippery slope, should not be doing it. And I want to be like, it's not tax, like literally you are avoiding the state taxes by legally being paid it when you're living somewhere else, whether you're in Massachusetts, Florida, or whatever. So I was like, it's just not illegal tax evasion.
Right.
It is.
It's strategy.
Yeah. No, exactly. And obviously signing this deal, like I didn't just sign the deal and do it. We didn't, obviously Pat and my agent. It's not like we just got the deal and signed it. You also have to look at all the things of how it actually works. And there's actually like some laws in California that allow this to happen and to go through with it. So, just can't live in California for 10 years and you get deferred payments. So, it's in writing. I'm not trying to, I would kind of be reinventing the wheel a little bit here with, the way I'm doing it. One of the first kind of in the NHL to ever do something like this. So hopefully more guys do it and take note of it.
So what I've gathered is it was actually Verbeek's idea that the sides were off on AAV, and Verbeek had looked at the Shohei thing and was like, hey, why don't we try this sort of thing? If Frank's not going to be living in California down the road, we'd be able to defer payment. And your agency looked at it and they were like, this actually does check a lot of Frank's boxes, because when you're done playing, you're going to have salary and guaranteed money coming in down the road, where a lot of players don't as soon as they finish playing. So when it was pitched to you, were you receptive to it, or were you like, hey, this hasn't happened before, so why would I do it?
No, I was definitely receptive of it. I was, really going to do whatever it took to get a deal done in Anaheim, because this is where I wanted to be. And, I'm so thrilled that we got the deal done. And just kind of when it was brought across the table by Pat, and my agent looked at it and kind of got into the fine details of it, it kind of getting the right financial people on the call, it kind of all made sense. And, when I first saw it and then you see the end number, I kind of really didn't understand of like, well, how are we getting to that number if I'm making this X amount of dollars? And then once you kind of explain it and the deferral and how the money accrues and all that stuff, you're like, wow, this is actually unbelievable. This is a great way to, kind of beat some of the taxes that you have to pay here in California.
So will you do, I mean, maybe you don't know what your future holds, but like Massachusetts, Florida, like Florida obviously would make the most sense if you really want to get bang for your buck there.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to retire in Florida. I mean, I lived there for 5 years and, I loved it there.
That's
I
how
think
I know
that's
you're
why I
from
love it so
Boston.
much. Yeah, I know.
I always wanted to retire in
Yeah, you
Florida.
live in California as an adult and you're going to retire in Florida. It's the most Boston thing I've ever heard.
I know. I think that's why I loved it so much, and it was such an easy adjustment for me to come to Anaheim, because it's so similar. Obviously, we're talking about the taxes a bunch on this episode, but the only thing that's different between California and Florida is the taxes. So, I'm just happy I can go to Florida and retire when I'm done.
You're clearly like thinking about your future a lot. Do you have any like? It's weird to ask you now because you're not close to retiring, but like, do you have a retirement plan or strategy in place for once you're done playing?
I mean, money wise, obviously I have a financial advisor, and they do all the planning ahead of time. With I have 2 daughters now, 2 kids, and plan to grow that family even more. So obviously got to put money away for college and whatnot. But I'm just looking to become scratch plus golfer, maybe get a swing coach while I'm down there. So those are my retirement plans.
So you said that you wanted to stay in Anaheim, and obviously this achieves that while also kind of making sense for you financially. Did you wonder if it was going to end up happening in Anaheim? Like, I think back to last trade deadline, you still had a year plus on your deal, and you were sought after because people were like, hey, mate, if he doesn't stick around there, we'll definitely take him at the trade deadline. Like, were there any points, whether then or even this summer, that you thought, like, am I moving here? And as somebody, you just mentioned having a family, I bet once you have a family, you're a little less inclined to be like, yeah, I'll go here for 3 months and I'll just move around a bunch.
Yeah, I think that's a huge piece of it is, I think when you're single and you're playing hockey early in your career, all you really focus on is yourself. And then once you have a wife and you have kids, you're kind of, it's not just you making the decision. It's your entire family, and you got to do what's best for them and also what's best for yourself. And you make that decision as a group. And but the whole process, like I know there's a bunch of rumors going on over the past 2 years that maybe I was going back to New York and doing whatnot, but my agent and Pat were always in contact, and I knew that I was going to stay in Anaheim. I knew I wasn't going anywhere, and so obviously when you stay in contact and your GM's honest with you, that's all you can really ask for is a GM that's honest and lets you know exactly where you stand. So I knew eventually a deal would get done, and I was just finally, I'm happy it's finally done now.
How much of a relief was it knowing deep down that you weren't going to New York? They stink, baby.
No, New York is, it was great for me when I was there. To play in the conference finals, play at MSG, to play with some great players, and obviously they're going through a tough time right now. And but that room over there, they have a great bunch of guys, and hopefully they get through it. And we got one of their good guys. We got Trubs now, so I'm glad to have him on our side. And now when I play the Rangers, I don't have to worry about going down the right side of the ice anymore.
How much shit has Trouba talked about the Rangers since arriving in Anaheim? I just like to imagine him like arriving in the locker room, throwing his shit down, and be like, Frank, I got to tell you some shit.
I mean,
here.
he did it on the record,
Yeah.
so you can't be like, oh, no, he's got nothing but good things to say. He has nothing but bad things to say.
No, he's good. Trubs is obviously knew the situation that he was in and whatnot. He was put in a really tough spot, but I think if you talk to him, he's just glad it's all done and over with. Now he can, focus on his family and focus on hockey. And obviously, when you play in a big market like New York and you're the captain, it's a lot. It's tough, and his situation is a lot different than most. When his wife's a doctor and she's doing a residency and whatnot, it's not the easiest decision. He had to do what was best for his family, and now he's in Anaheim. He loves it here. He's having fun, and he's just such a great guy to add to this group. And this guy I've known a long time, and I'm so happy to have him. And I'm happy he's here in Anaheim.
Pete was very worried for Trevor Zegras when that trade went down. He was like, they might just be getting this guy to straighten the kid out in practice. We talked to Alex Vlasic, who obviously is friends with Zegras and played with him in college, just to try to get a feel for him. And I was like, why don't we talk to Vatrano about this? Because he plays with him. Like, is he misunderstood or is he perfectly understood?
I think if you don't know him, he's misunderstood. He's one of my favorite teammates. I love the kid to death. He's great. I look forward to seeing him every single day at the rink. Text all the time throughout the summer, text throughout the year. And, he's a guy that just wants to win. He's so competitive. And I think with the media and whatnot, that everyone tries to create this huge ordeal, this huge story that guys don't like him and whatnot, but everyone loves him. He's a great teammate. He just wants to be the best. And I'm excited to get him back in the lineup when he's going through his injury right now. And but he's the best. He really, truly is the best.
How much of wanting to stay in Anaheim was knowing that if you went anywhere else, you were a forward who had to play against a team that had Radko Gudas and Jacob Trouba?
Yeah, that's what kind of wanted me to stay a little bit. I don't have to play against those two guys. So I get to just play against them in practice. So usually they take it a little bit easy on practice. So I don't have to worry about getting hit by either of those two guys.
Did you see the video that Anaheim put out when they got Trouba? It was just like a super cut of those two murdering people being like, ooh, we have some tough customers now. And I was like, Jesus, they're going to be a horrifying team to play against.
No, it's crazy. I mean, I remember I got to play with Butch in Florida, so I got to see it firsthand there, and obviously playing against him early in my career. He got me a couple of times, but I started playing with Trubs when I was 16, and you should have saw what he was doing to kids when we were 16, 17 years old. It was
Jesus.
It was insane. So there's a video out there too. I think when he was like 12 years old, he just decapitated some kid in like Sweden. And I wonder if the clip's still out there somewhere. I remember they showed it during his draft year of him just absolutely hammering someone when he was like 12 years old. And that stuff he's been doing since he was a kid. And there's a reason why he's been playing the NHL a long time.
How much have you seen the team identity shift over like the past year and a half? Because it seems pretty clear that that's sort of the goal here, going out and getting Trouba, like Gudas coming in, and it just seems like there's an intent on becoming more mature and sort of more seasoned. Yeah,
we have a mixture of older guys and younger guys. We talk about all the time. I think we have 7 guys under the age of 23, and that's very rare, especially in the NHL. Even though the league's getting very young, it's very rarely that you have 7 guys under the age of 23 and under. So I think last year was a huge year for our younger guys to kind of play a full year NHL and to find out what's expected of you every single night and how you need to play and to be effective, and you find out what works and what doesn't work. And you're going to go through growing pains as a young guy in the NHL. It's just how it is. It's not, a straight trajectory. It's a lot of ups and downs. And I think this year with those guys playing last year was huge for them, and they're all making strides. And I think we have a great locker room. We have a great bunch of guys that just want to get better every day and help each other out. And we just want to win and create a great culture here that, believe in ourselves that we could win here.
So you've got, this year and then 3 more years after it. Where do you think the team is by the end of your deal? Because, obviously the Pacific stinks. There's no good teams in there, so it's just an absolute cakewalk. You don't have to worry about any of the teams that are ahead of you. But a year from now, and I know this season isn't done, but I look at your team and you're right around 500, and that's good for like 6th in your division just because it's so stacked. But eventually these guys are going to get older and more experienced. Like, how good do you see this team getting?
Yeah, I think we're knocking on the door. We've been playing great hockey as of late. And, for us, our goal is to make the playoffs this year. And that's your goal every single year. Everyone wants to play meaningful games, come down the stretch in February and March. And no one wants to be, just playing meaningless games in January where your season's already done. So, but I think we're knocking on the door and push for the playoffs this year, next year. And I think just once you kind of get that taste of blood that you get to play in the playoffs, like there's no better feeling in the world. There's a bunch of guys on the team that never played in the playoffs. And we always talk about it's the best time to play hockey. There's no other thing to play for. It's just selfless hockey. And once you get a taste of it, you want to be playing every single year. So I think we're really close. We're right there.
Can you help Leo Carlsson with his interior decorating?
This one.
Oh, I saw that tweet that you had of his gaming setup.
It's so bad.
That's just Leo to a T. Simple guy.
I love it. He seems like the nicest guy in the world, but man, he needs some help with that whole thing. That is a disaster. That is the biggest young kid picture I've ever seen in my life.
I got to send him to Micro Center. I sent Zegras there about 2 months ago. He got a he was in there for like 4 hours, just picking out a brand new gaming setup, new laptop, new monitor, you name it.
Are you a gamer?
In COVID, I was a huge gamer. Like I got into I didn't build the PC myself. I picked all the stuff that went in it, but I was hardcore, like original Warzone and all that, Fortnite and all that stuff. But I've kind of gotten away from it a little bit. I like to play. Me and Z play every once in a while. He actually texted me last night. I wanted to play Fortnite, but 2 kids now. I'm a little tired at night. But no, I just wish the old Warzone came back and I'd be back gaming. Maybe I'll just wait for GTA 6. That looks like a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. Verdansk is coming back in the spring, so that's when I'm getting back into Warzone. But I heard
that's when I'll be back playing then.
Hell yeah. I heard Zegras say that Carlson's nasty at Warzone. No? What? He lied?
No.
So
he's okay. He's okay. We played Warzone a couple months ago, and it was me. I think it was Jackson Lacombe, Leo, and Z and Strom and Troy Terry. And we haven't played we rarely play. We'll just hop on and play. And it was one game, and it was Stromer's at the top of the leaderboard, and all the younger guys were at the bottom. It's hey, not bad for a 31-year-old who doesn't play anymore. Just giving it to him. It was awesome.
After that tweet went around for me, I saw Zegras gave a media scrum interview, and he was like, anybody who sees and critiques him for that hasn't played with him. He's nasty. So
it's a good teammate.
That like you said, he misunderstood. He's a great teammate.
He's not bad. Leo's not bad at COD. He's good. I'm not saying he's bad, but I wouldn't say he's at the top.
What I'm getting is that Zegras is a liar.
Yeah,
so this year you're just fuel to the fire. Saying that Carlson's good and he clearly isn't. We're taking your word over his. This does not portend well for Mr. Zegras. Frank, you are the best. You guys are in town next month, I think. Yeah, you'll be back in Boston.
Yeah, we're the first. I think it's our first game after the whatever that tournament's called. What is it, the World Cup? Four Nations.
Yes. Four Nations. Yeah.
Yeah. World.
We're gonna cut a promo for the Four Nations.
It's called World Seniors. Oh
World
fuck! Why don't they call it that?
Yeah. Be pretty good.
World Seniors, and then just. I don't know. Do you think there's a statistical, or there's a competitive advantage? Our producer Sean brought this up. By them only having 4 nations, they're letting like Draisaitl, Pasternak, and those guys like can't play in this tournament. So certain NHL teams are getting a competitive advantage by their guys not having to jump in and play this fun little circus in the middle of the season.
I mean, yeah, obviously it'd be great to have, every single nation playing and, have the NHL best players represent their countries. But I think with the way that the NHL worked this out, it was just to put the four, Finland, Sweden, U.S., Canada in it. And, all those guys that made those teams are the best players in the world. And it's going to be awesome to see them playing on the big stage. Obviously, I think everyone wished the tournament was expanded, but that's just how the tournament came about. But it's great for those guys that are on that team. Whenever you can represent your country and play in a big tournament like that, it's awesome. Especially, it's really cool for me with it being in Boston. It's going to be great, and Boston and Montreal can't get two better cities than that to play a tournament like that.
That's going to be amazing. And like half of your team was just in that tournament. We're in World Juniors like a year ago.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Like, does Cutter do like watch parties or something? Be like, hey, I don't know if you guys saw me. I used to do this a bit myself.
Yeah, we always joke around about the World Juniors, and we were joking. We were in Edmonton a couple days ago, and I was like, "Oh, hey, Mac T, this is the save. This is the rink where the save happened." But no, I feel like all the guys in our team literally play World Juniors within the past like 3 or 4 years. It's actually insane.
Hell yeah. Frank, we're so happy for you on the deal. Pete sent the tweet in the group chat. We were pumped, saw the video, loved it. Great job with that. Huge congrats. You're going to do big things the next few years there. I say that meaning the whole Ducks. You got a lot of stuff. Also, can I ask about Ben Afquack? Last thing. Ben Afquack. You know about that guy?
No, who's Ben Afquack?
Whenever you guys win, the Ducks tweet a thing about like it's a duck.
It's a duck who like
plays
bangs
drums.
a drum with his feet. It is a
I
mercenary.
actually saw that. I actually saw that. That's so weird that you just said that, because the first I've ever saw that was on a reel last night, and I didn't know that was the duck. That was the first time I've ever saw that video, and I didn't know he had a name.
It's a reverse the
Unless
algorithm
you
is
made up that
listening
name.
thing. He sees the video and then it gets brought up in real life.
It appears that Ben Affleck doesn't have a real presence in the locker room, which is concerning.
No, he doesn't. Maybe we should get him down there after the wins.
Get him in there. All right, Frank.
Maybe we should hand him out at the end of the games for the
Oh, my
A live
God.
duck? Yes,
would be
please.
great.
Just all right, boys. I think you
football
know.
teams.
Stay still. I think you know. Jesus fucking Christ. Who this one's going to? Here you go, Lucas. That'd be amazing. All right, Frank. Congratulations. Big, much success the rest of the way this season, and of course the next 3 years. Fun, interesting, great deal, and a fun, interesting, great team you got. So thanks for joining us, buddy.
Thanks for having me again, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, get live ducks in the room to give out after the game. There needs to be like, because teams sometimes will do like 3 things. They'll be like, we have this, and then we have this, and we have this. All 3 of them have to be ducks.
I mean, the post-game footage of ducks in the locker room with live ducks walking around the locker room would go crazy.
Just ducks pissing.
Do ducks piss?
I think ducks piss.
I don't know if they piss.
I think
Sean?
every creature pisses.
There you
I don't know
go.
if anybody
Yeah.
pisses.
I think they do. I mean, they shit. I can know that for sure.
Yeah. I feel like they combine the piss and the shit. They just solidify their piss into shit.
You know, I
don't think anybody knows.
cannot for sure say you're wrong. So
Do you think
you
it'll
ever
be a
seen
Stanley Cup thing where they'd be like, oh no, Zegras dented the duck. Zegras dropped the duck.
Zegras killed the duck.
Oh.
Yeah, they would just turn into like, who's the first to accidentally kill the
PETA would hate them so much.
No, I mean, it's like a class pet. And then,
Yeah, but PETA hates like the live mascots in college football.
oh, well, PETA is the worst. PETA kills dogs all the time. So fuck PETA.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. They have like their shelters kill dogs a lot.
PETA has kill shelters?
Oh, yeah. PETA sucks out loud. Hate PETA. I was going to say, it's just like they had a class pet and then it's going to die. And Cronin's going to have to come in and be like, and like replace it without any of the players knowing and be like, it's still Ben Affleck. And then you're like, I don't think
This
trust
is
me.
Ben Affleck 2.
Trust me. Yeah, and then they're
It's
gonna
like
have to do
Devo
that thing.
14.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be like, this is original Ben Affleck's great grandson, Ben Affleck the fourth.
What happened to Ben Affleck? Oh, Ben Affleck went to live in Florida. There were some taxes that Ben Affleck wanted to avoid.
Apparently, the chat is saying that Birds, you are right about Ducks.
No fucking way.
The chat is saying that they do. I don't know if they're fucking with us, but I'll do number crunch.
That would be the biggest blind swing and home run in my life.
So I believe that. Someone said birds do it all out of the same hole.
Holy
I could
shit.
believe that.
I type in "do ducks pee" and the AI overview from Google said no. Ducks do not urinate like mammals do. Instead, they produce urates, which is a whitish substance that mixes their digestive waste in their cloaca. You were spot fucking on, Pete.
Oh
Damn.
my God.
That's insane.
My boy's wicked smart.
Didn't see that one coming at all. Pete, smartest guy in the pod.
Holy
Casey
shit.
Affleck voice. My boy's wicked smart. Love Your Life says, in the bathroom during class, he, yeah, ha, 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 ole, ole. Good one, Love Your Life. No, seriously, good one. Like, that is a good one. Sabrina says, starting the pro transition lenses brigade, and because Sean said my dad is cool AF.
That was presumptuous.
No, I did say that.
It was you, but did you tag your name?
Oh, no, that is true. They did,
Very
yeah.
presumptuous.
All right, shout out all those chats. Social media was going crazy the other day.
Oh, no.
Because Connor McDavid tweeted at AM34, crossbar and in, let's see it. Austin Matthews wasn't going to take that shit, okay? He's a competitor just like the rest of us. Responded, bet you can't hit a billboard from 50 feet. And I'm thinking, what? Oh, what are these two up to? Is there a new rivalry here? What's going on? This is genuine hate, like in the olden days. These guys don't like each other, and they're willing to take it to the ice. Turns out this was actually an advertisement.
I'm going to kill myself. I hate this.
Did you? Well, you were texting me. You were like, you seen this beef between Matthews and McDavid? They seem pissed at each other about something. I think they're going to take it out. They're going to settle it on the ice. And it was an advertisement. It was for McDonald's recreating the classic Wayne Gretzky, Matt Sundin kind of let's bet on hockey for our lunch. The commercial finally has arrived. Here it is.
What's in the bag? Big Mac. Play for it. First one to miss, watches the winner eat. Let's do it. I'll make it easy for you. Off the crossbar, into the net. You rusty? Opposite net, obviously. Up in the air, out of the air, into the net. T-ball MVP, man. Nickelback blasting, backhand. You know you love him.
Off the seat back, over the board, nothing but net.
Through the legs, top the skate, a spinorama,
Top left. Think this is a game, Poppy? Game on.
These guys are playing for all the prize. He scores!
Race you for it.
Off your dome, through your dome.
Watch the jibs. Rude.
Back to the bus, bounce the biscuit. Take a break.
They loaded up on McDonald's decaf coffee before doing that. That is the lowest energy, not amazing thing I've ever seen. But how do you boys feel?
It's not bad or good enough to be interesting. It's just it is what it is, and I think that anybody could have guessed that. At least like it wasn't completely cringeworthy. I think when you enlist the acting services of Connor McDavid, you're taking a real chance. And I don't like hearing Connor McDavid call Austin Matthews Poppy. That's the low. That is the low light of that commercial.
Very much agree. Highlight is definitely the Nickelback. I like that a little bit.
I like the slap shot through McDavid's face.
Yeah, also cool.
Yeah, but generally it just kind of went like this and it never went up or down.
Yeah.
I will say the only time fast food commercials work for me is when they show the food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that looks good. I want that.
How do you
Burger
not
King
show-
has been crushing it on that. 100% chance I get Burger King within the next week.
Oh yeah, well, but Burger King's been like doing like slow mo,
Pete's
like
favorite
flop it
restaurant,
down,
yeah.
it bounces around.
Well, they've
like-
been advertising those melts, and I'm like, that shit looks pretty good.
Yeah.
They didn't show the food at all.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of weird if Pete walked in with a bag and I was like, "What's in that bag?" And he was like, "My lunch." And then I said, "I'll play you in a game for it." He'd say, "No, I brought this.
Yeah.
This is mine." So that, I would
true.
say like it's off to a confusing start. Here's the commercial.
Also, by the way, it started with like, let's play for this burger, and it ends with, we're just going to McDonald's.
Yeah, well, because they played so long, the burger went cold. They had to get another
Like,
one.
they completely lost the plot
It
there.
is, to your point, like that is the lowest reflection of McDonald's is that you buy McDonald's and then somebody says, "I want that," and you say, "Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, sure, why not?"
Yeah, I'll
I'm
do
fine
an
not eating
activity
this.
instead of eating it and then potentially lose it. This is the commercial it was based on, the Wayne Gretzky Matt Sundin one.
First one to miss buys lunch at McDonald's.
Good. You can buy me a Big Mac.
Already
Yeah,
so
we'll
much
see
better.
about that. Top left shelf. No. That net. And I'll be having mine with large fries.
This should be fun.
Always.
Try that, Mr. Fancy Stick.
We're gonna need some more bucks.
Okay, off the clock, off the Zamboni, bottom right. Nice shot.
Thank you.
People will do almost anything
And they
for
show
the
the burger.
taste of a McDonald's Big Mac.
Aren't you getting hungry yet?
Aren't you getting hungry yet?
Off the rafter, over the organ, and hit the crossbar.
Want that backhanded?
That's so much better. So much better. They look like they're having fun making that commercial.
I want a Big Mac now.
And it's cool because they're wearing the real jerseys, not some fake ass McDonald's jerseys.
Yeah. Mr. Fancy Stick apps like Gretzky should have retired right then and there. Just fucking owned.
Yeah.
A Big Mac.
Fine. What do you say? Then you'll be buying me a Big Mac. Like Gretzky was like, fuck, I wasn't thinking that. That's
Yeah.
way better.
So much better.
But whatever. I don't know. Harmless little recreation from those two.
I will say, whoever at McDonald's, assuming it was McDonald's or maybe the ad agency that was like, we got to tease this with the tweets, that person's got to be fired.
That's the worst part.
That's the worst part because neither one of those guys has a real like online presence, and them tweeting at each other, be like, "Whoa, top crossbar it in," like that is the stupidest, most forced thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, but I think you are looking at this from like a normal human being's perspective. I think all of like the Twitter hockey fans, for two guys who like never really tweet, they're like, oh, Connor
Nobody
McDavid's.
believes that for a second.
No, but I think there is a not small portion of hockey Twitter that is just like they're doing something. I think there's so many people that are craving like the stars to be real people so bad that anytime they do anything, they're like
on one hand, it is the only reason that I knew about this like commercial coming on January 7th. But on the other hand, it like sets the bar for it to kind of be lame, because if they had just dropped this today, I'd be like, oh damn, McDonald's commercial with McDavid and Matthews, I'll check this out. And I was forced to check it out because it was content.
Yeah.
Super chat. Michael says, DJ, are you attending the Revolution's Bruce Arena Bowl? I would love to, because I love the New England Revolution and I love Bruce Arena, but I will not be able to. I will be out of the country, actually, on that day. So I will be watching I'm going to be at a wedding and be watching on a phone.
What country?
Well, actually, I might be in the country, depending on how things go for your guy Trump.
Correct. Yeah. You
Pete
might be in the
did.
51st state.
Pete was not a Trump voter, but I've been just casually planting little like false hints that you are.
You don't know who I voted for.
Jill Stein.
No,
You don't know who I voted
Pete
for.
writes in Klobuchar every time. The biggest douche to ever run for anything.
I voted for Sarah Palin. She has good hockey takes.
Pete votes for Mayor Pete, just stays off the name.
Yes.
Right.
Whatever. Seems like a nice enough guy. Okay, I think that takes us to a slate grade, doesn't it, boys?
Sure does.
There are how many games? There are 10 games?
There's one that matters. The
All
one
right.
you will be at.
Golden Knights at Sharks.
Well, let's kick it off with the Hurricanes at the Lightning at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's a Jake Gensel Bowl, of course. The Oilers will visit the Bruins. Pete and I will be there in a Benoit Pouliot Bowl. How about that? Senators at Red Wings, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's a Daniel Alfredson Bowl, of course.
yeah.
It's a Marian Hossa Bowl. It's even a Dominic Hasek Bowl. What's that?
I don't like that. I mean, I know what it is, but I don't
Like
it.
Hasek?
I love Dominic Hasek.
No, but like Hasek, Senators?
Hasek, yeah, it's just like him. The Senators Hasek is not real to me.
Well, how's this for? I mean, this guy was captain of one of these teams, so I think this counts. Can I call the Stars at Rangers a Jaromir Jagr Bowl?
Yeah, you could.
Played for
I would call it a Brennan Smith Bowl.
Brennan Smith. Oh, that's a good one. How about the Blue Jackets at Penguins? Let's see what chaos coded you boys are. There were two names that came to mind for Blue Jackets at Penguins for me.
One of the brothers, right?
Alex Nylander.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the other brothers too, right?
Stop calling them brothers.
Yeah.
Sean, please.
I can. Is it P.O.?
What's up?
Oh,
One of the
Pierre
and Matthew.
P.O. Joseph?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think so. Right. Just happened.
that's what I thought.
I could be wrong. Anyway, I was going to say Alex Nylander because that was quite the story last year.
It was.
Where Alex Nylander went to the Blue Jackets was awesome. And the Blue Jackets were like, we don't want Alex Nylander anymore. Or something happened. I don't know what went on there. And also, it's an Ian Cole Bowl. How about that?
God.
Ian Cole playing for both of these teams. Very good. Maple Leafs will visit the Flyers at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. That is, of course, a James Van Riemsdyk Bowl. Very good, boys. An Anthony
wrong.
Stolarz Bowl.
Neither of the Joseph brothers who played for the Blue Jackets.
Didn't
They were the
think
Blues.
So.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
An Eric Lind. Oh, yes. An Eric Lindros Bowl. The Blues will take on the Wild in Minnesota in a Ryan Suter Bowl.
Gross.
We did not talk about Arpon saying that he was a Brock Faber voter.
I know.
Yeah, well, we kicked him off immediately after he said that.
Kind of true, yeah.
I was trying not to look over at you because I was like, is Arpon going to be able to tell that?
I was making faces.
Were you?
Yeah.
Were you just...
Although I will say, he's the first person I've ever heard give like a real reason for it and not just say plus minus.
Yeah,
basically.
the fact that he didn't mention Connor Bedard's plus minus.
I can respect that. Like,
and he made his case for Brock Faber, not against Connor Bedard.
yes, that's what I'm saying. Like it was the
appreciate
first
that
time I've heard
argument.
someone make an actual argument for Brock Faber.
Yes. So.
Oh, wait, folks, I missed an Ian Cole. There are 3 Ian Cole Bowls. People in the chat, please say which ones those are. So I don't...
Hurricanes and Lightning is an Ian Cole Bowl.
Yep.
Blue Jackets.
Is Blue Jackets Penguins and Ian Cole?
Yeah,
it has to be.
That's the one that you highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And
Wild Blues.
Oh,
maybe.
gross.
Okay. Anyway, while you update me on that, I'll update you on these games.
It's Wild Blues.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Predators at Jets at 8 p.m. It's a Nino Niederreiter Bowl. Flames at Ducks, 10 p.m. Eastern. James Neal Bowl, Tyson Berry Bowl. That's all I got for those two. And the Golden Knights at the Sharks. Not a lot here, but it is
an obvious one.
Aiden Hill Bowl?
No, Tomas Hertl Bowl.
Oh, it's a Tomas Hertl Bowl. Why did I go straight to Aiden Hill?
I don't know. Good question.
Probably because I'm sipping on this Bing Bong right now. Circling Backheads will get that. Thanks to Frank Vatrano for joining us. Thanks to Arpon.
Do we have a grade?
It's an A-. Well, actually, let's see.
Yeah, it's an A.
Yeah, it's an A-.
That's an A-.
But what do we have outside of Bruins Oilers? That's a good game here. And Bruins Oilers is only a good game because they play good games against each other. Bruins are ass right now.
Yeah, man. Blues Wild is a pretty good one. Senators Red Wings is like the Eastern Conference Wild Card Asshole Watch Bowl.
You know what I'm doing?
Hurricanes Lightning is a good one too.
I got one. I'm hurrying back after this game. Actually, it won't be too much of a rush. I'm catching the Golden Knights at Sharks as a little nightcap.
I mean, as Arpon said, Macklin Celebrini as appointment viewing at this point in time. So
You get to see Celebrini, and the Knights are so good.
yeah,
I don't know if Frank.
that's why that game's going to stink. It's the Golden Knights versus the Sharks.
Yeah, they're probably gonna eat, but I'll take it. A-. Thanks to everybody who joined the show today. They all rocked. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Pete, why don't you tell the folks to press some buttons?
Please hit that like button. It's the thumbs up icon right below the video player. We very much appreciate those likes. We also appreciate your subscriptions to the YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button. We love you. We will see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.